Hello, welcome to this video on CMI Assignment 501. This is part 11 of this series of videos relating to assessment criteria 3.3, the penultimate assessment criteria. So we're on task 2, create a profile of a manager who has operational or departmental responsibilities. And what we need to do here for 3.3 is analyze the behaviors required to be effective in a management and leadership role. Again, it's not about creating a list. It's about analyzing, I would say, a few behaviors, maybe 3 or 4. Just really, what are those behaviors, and why do they matter? Why have you chosen those behaviors? Possibly then any little examples that you can weave in of where you've seen those behaviors in action and the impact that that had would be fantastic. So analyze is an analyze one, which means that we need to break it down into its parts. So I would say, yep, 3 or 4 parts, 3 or 4 behaviors, and examine each part in detail. So what is the behavior and why does it relate to effective leadership? So the why. Identify main issues and show how the main ideas are related to practice and why they're important. There we go, that last bit. So yep, 3 or 4 behaviors, why are they important? Reference to theory may support the analysis. So yeah, we can definitely link in any relevant theories. But also, I think with this one, any case studies, examples that you have would add a lot to it as well. So behaviors, a good little image, very approachable person there. Behaviors are visible to others. The actions you take that people can see. So kind of with this bit, we're looking at what do leaders do? You know, what does an effective leader actually do that other people would observe and see happening in the world? It builds quite nicely, I think, on the knowledge and ability question that we did previously. That's 3.1, the knowledge and skill that leaders have. Behaviors, I think, is kind of right. It almost links in quite nicely with that in terms of, and so what would other people see the actions that leaders would take? What would leaders actually do? I quite like that picture, there would go someone who sat on the desk, they're sat down, they're, engaging with their colleague, they've got them smiling and happy, and it's not the be all and end all, is it? But there's something quite nice about that, I think. Anyway, so some example behaviors, what might you see? So speaking to colleagues and not hiding in an office. I know it sounds obvious, but but people do, and I've known it quite often. If it's on, when you've got people who are very busy, and so they come in the morning, they're probably a bit stressed about things. They don't take the time to say hello. They go straight into their office and shut the door. It's just not approachable. So I'd say approachability and actually, if you like, deliberately, going out and actually engaging with people, I would say is a leadership behavior. Giving and also seeking feedback. I had a boss who was very good at that. Actually, he would many years ago he would give a talk, he'd give a presentation to the group, and then he would go and ask people whether the message had landed. What they thought his key points were, and that type of thing. If there's anything that could have made it better. I like that. I thought that was good. Anyway, but there's also taking the time to give people feedback so they know where they stand and how to develop and improve. Active reflection, I think we find that a lot of people who, really get good at leadership, a big part of that is taking the time to reflect on our interactions, our decisions, and our actions. Many people actually benefit from having a structured approach to actually following a kind of reflective practice cycle or method, keeping a journal, or maybe doing it more verbally in that kind of coaching space. So a lot of, again, effective leaders will have someone who coaches them, and that coaching thing will be quite a reflective space, looking really at how we're working and then in a guided way, finding ways to improve. So reflective practice is going to be a part of developing as an effective leader. Being supportive and giving people time. Yep, again, I know people who are always, the door's open, they're available. And so if people have an issue and they need a sounding board, they are interested and they're available. Even when they're really busy, they can pause the day-to-day stuff to give people their time. I think that's a lovely quality. Demonstrating pride in their team and their organization. So talking positively is like being advocates for their team and for their organization, being champions for what they do. is great, isn't it? And that's sort of leading externally as well as internally, taking steps to keep people safe. So if what you do, if you work in an industry where there is risk, isn't it a massive part of leadership to really proactively challenge perhaps behaviors that are dangerous or could lead to accidents, and if you like, maybe training, again, training or making sure that people are well trained so that they are safe in their environment, so they take responsibility for people's safety. I would see those as being key leadership behaviors. So that's just a few examples. We don't need we need to go a little bit more than the list, I think. And so why do these things matter? I would say one thing that links all of these behaviors together would be that they relate to emotional intelligence. So again, a bit of analysis, I suppose, would be, if you kind of think about a bit of theory. So emotional intelligence is, our ability to sort of understand and manage ourselves whilst also understanding the emotions and reacting to the emotions of those around us in a positive and effective way. I would say that what links these points together is emotional intelligence. So we could talk about that a little bit here. It's not just about having a list. The important thing, though, is we talk about why these behaviors matter and the impact that they have. So one way to do that would be to introduce a little case study. So if you think about a leader that has inspired you, it could be somebody that you've worked with, it could be somebody from history, could even be a fictional person. I think that would probably be fine. But in a perfect world, I think someone from your context and your experience would be best. What did they do? What behaviors did you observe? And what impact did this have? What impact did they have? So I would say if you were to focus in on perhaps 3 or 4 key behaviors that that leader demonstrated, um, what did you see? What results did you observe? Why did those behaviors matter? Why did they have an impact? So I think that that's a really good way to answer this assessment criteria. A little case study, an example, and just to zoom in on 3 or 4 key behaviors. Why do they matter? And that will be then that assessment criteria complete. And then we're ready just to approach the last one, which I'll be tackling next. Thank you very much.